Begin with the KHOU 11 exclusive tonight. A difficult story. A woman is murdered just hours before signing divorce papers.
Yeah, her family is telling us the killer is connected to that breakup.
The music was loud, the drinks were flowing, and Britney Richard was having the time of her life. It was 12:25 a.m. at Time Out Sports Bar in Texas City, and she was surrounded by her favorite people, her cousins, celebrating another year of life, another reason to forget about the drama waiting at home. Her phone buzzed on the sticky bar table, a calendar reminder, signed divorce papers 9 a.m. tomorrow. She glanced at it, rolled her eyes, and shoved the phone back into her purse. Tomorrow she'd finally be free from Aaron. Tomorrow, she'd officially close the chapter on the man who chose another woman over his family. But Britney Richard had no idea she only had few hours left to live. What happened next in that crowded sports bar would leave a mother touching her daughter's cold body at 2 a.m., whispering,
"When I touched her body close to 2 o'clock, she was cold."
It would leave two children without their mom, a family destroyed, and a community asking one haunting question: how does a night of birthday celebration turn into a massacre? The woman who would end Britney's life was already in the building, 35-year-old Shanice Felder, the same woman who'd been sleeping with Britney's husband. The same woman who'd helped destroy her marriage was about to make sure those divorce papers would never get signed. But here's what makes this case absolutely insane. Britney and Shanice had never fought before. Never argued, never even had a conversation. They were complete strangers, bound together only by one man's betrayal. Yet in less than 5 minutes, Shanice would stab Britney 9 times in front of dozens of witnesses, turning a family birthday party into a bloodbath. The security cameras captured it all: the laughter, the dancing, the moment everything went wrong. And what they recorded that night would shock even veteran detectives who thought they'd seen everything.
No one child deserves to die like that. No one. And it's wrong, and it was horrific, and it was just terrible.
So what really happened in those final 5 minutes? What drove a woman to commit such brutal violence against someone she'd never even spoken to? And why did Britney's own husband, the man she'd loved, married, and had children with, allegedly walk out of that bar with her killer? Welcome to Shadows of Crime, where we dig into the cases that keep you up at night. If this story grabs you, smash that subscribe button, hit the like, and share this with someone who loves true crime as much as you do. And tell us in the comments, where are you watching from today? Because this Texas tragedy is about to get a whole lot darker.
Hello, my name is Britney Richard. I'm currently attending College of the Mainland for my associates in business. I'm a full-time worker for Texas City ISD. I have 2 kids, husband. I'm really familiar with stress. Outside of full-time work, going to school, I also have accounting certification.
Britney Richard wasn't supposed to be the victim of anyone's story. At 33, she had everything figured out, or at least she thought she did. She was the kind of woman who made everyone around her feel comfortable, the type who remembered your birthday and showed up when you needed her most. Working as an accountant for the city of La Marque, Britney was known for her infectious laugh and her ability to turn even the most boring budget meeting into something bearable. Her colleagues didn't just respect her, they genuinely liked being around her. She was the person who brought donuts on Monday mornings and stayed late to help a coworker finish their reports. But it was her role as a mother that truly defined her. Her 13-year-old and 9-year-old were her entire world. Every decision she made, every sacrifice she considered, every dream she chased, it all came back to those 2 kids. She was the mom who never missed a school play, who turned homework time into a game, who made sure her children felt loved even when their world was falling apart. And their world was definitely falling apart. The marriage to Aaron Cole had started like a fairy tale. The photos from their early years show a couple genuinely in love. Britney's radiant smile next to Aaron's protective embrace. They'd bought their dream home in 2021, posting videos of themselves dancing in empty rooms, planning their future, talking about growing old together. But somewhere along the way, Aaron's attention wandered. Enter Shanice Felder, 35 years old, also from Texas City, and apparently everything Britney wasn't. The affair wasn't just a fling. It was a full-blown relationship that Aaron wasn't even trying to hide anymore. When Britney discovered the betrayal, it shattered her. Friends described her as devastated, not just by the cheating, but by the realization that the man she'd built her life around had been living a lie. The woman who always put everyone else first suddenly had to face the hardest truth of her life. Sometimes love isn't enough. The divorce proceedings had been brutal. Lawyers, custody arrangements, dividing up a life they built together. It was exhausting. But Britney was determined to protect her children from the worst of it. She wanted them to have stability, even if their family was broken. August 30th, 2024 was supposed to be the end of it all. The divorce papers were ready, one signature, and Britney Richard would officially be free to start over. She'd already started planning, maybe a new apartment, definitely some time to focus on herself, and always putting her kids first. But that Friday night, she wasn't thinking about divorce papers or custody schedules or starting over. She was thinking about family, the family that had supported her through the worst year of her life. Her cousin was celebrating a birthday, and Britney wasn't going to miss it. These were the people who'd held her when she cried, who'd reminded her she was worth more than Aaron's betrayal, who'd helped her remember who she was before she became someone's wife. The plan was simple. Hit a few bars, celebrate, laugh until their faces hurt, and forget about all the drama for one night. Britney had earned this. After months of legal battles and emotional turmoil, she deserved to feel normal again. What she didn't know was that Shanice Felder had other plans for that night. The woman who'd helped destroy Britney's marriage wasn't content with just stealing her husband. She wanted something more. Something final. The evening started perfectly. Multiple stops, good music, family together, everyone in high spirits. Britney was finally laughing again, finally feeling like herself. The divorce papers could wait until morning. Tonight was about celebration, but as they walked into Time Out Sports Bar for what was supposed to be their last stop of the night, Britney had no idea she was walking into a trap. Shanice was already there, waiting. And she hadn't come to party. Drop a comment if you've ever had a gut feeling about someone new in your ex's life. Were you right? Because what happened next proves that sometimes our worst instincts are exactly right. The clock was ticking toward midnight, and Britney Richard was about to discover that some people don't just want to win, they want to destroy. 12:30 a.m. hit like a countdown timer nobody knew was running. The Time Out Sports Bar was packed, typical for a Friday night in Texas City. Britney and her cousins had claimed their spot near the bar, drinks in hand, still riding the high from their earlier stops. The music was pumping, people were dancing, and for the first time in months, Britney felt genuinely happy. Her younger cousin excused herself to use the restroom. Just a normal bathroom break, nothing suspicious, nothing that should have triggered alarm bells. But Shanice Felder had been watching, waiting, planning. What happened next was caught on security cameras, but even the footage couldn't capture the pure shock of what unfolded. As Britney's cousin pushed open the restroom door to leave, she walked straight into an ambush. Two women were waiting for her. Shanice Felder and an accomplice, armed and ready for violence. They didn't ask questions. They didn't give warnings. They just attacked. The cousin was jumped immediately, punched, kicked, and then the weapons came out. Pool balls became projectiles, broken glass turned into blades. And then Shanice pulled out a knife. The screaming started almost instantly. Other bar patrons turned toward the commotion, but in the chaos and dim lighting, most people couldn't tell what was happening. Was it just a typical bar fight? Drunk people being stupid? But Britney knew better. That was her family being attacked, Her baby cousin, the same girl she'd helped raise, the same girl who looked up to her like a big sister, was in danger. Every protective instinct Britney had ever possessed kicked into overdrive. She didn't think about her own safety. She didn't consider that this might be a trap. She didn't even process that the woman attacking her cousin was Shanice Felder, Aaron's new girlfriend, the woman who'd helped destroy her marriage. All Britney saw was family in trouble. She rushed toward the bathroom area, her other cousins right behind her. The Richard family didn't abandon each other. That's how they'd been raised. When one of them was in danger, they all responded. But as Britney got closer, the horrible truth became clear. This wasn't random bar violence. This wasn't some drunk stranger picking a fight. The woman with the knife, the woman who'd been systematically attacking her cousin, was Shanice Felder. The same Shanice who'd been sleeping with her husband. The same Shanice who'd helped tear apart her family. The same Shanice who apparently couldn't stand the thought of Britney being free. For a split second, their eyes met across the chaos. Britney's face showed pure confusion. They'd never fought before, never even had a conversation. Why was Aaron's girlfriend attacking her family? But Shanice's expression was something else entirely. Pure rage, calculated hatred, the look of someone who'd been planning this moment. "What the hell are you doing?" Britney shouted over the noise, still trying to understand why this was happening. Shanice didn't answer with words. Instead, she turned the knife away from the cousin and pointed it directly at Britney. The woman who'd stolen her husband wasn't satisfied with just destroying her marriage. She wanted to destroy everything. The bar crowd was starting to realize this wasn't just a fight, this was something much worse. People began backing away, some pulling out phones, others heading for the exits. But it was too late to stop what was about to happen. Britney Richard, the devoted mother who'd only wanted to protect her family, was about to become the primary target of a woman she'd never wronged. But what happened next would change everything, because Britney Richard wasn't just defending her cousin. She was about to become the victim of the most brutal attack in Texas City bar history. The knife was raised, the crowd was screaming, and Britney had nowhere to run. What happened in the next 60 seconds would haunt everyone who witnessed it for the rest of their lives. Shanice Felder didn't just attack Britney. She unleashed pure, calculated fury. The first stab came without warning, catching Britney in the torso as she tried to shield her cousin. The blade went deep, and Britney's scream cut through the bar noise like a siren. But Shanice wasn't done. Not even close. The second strike hit Britney's shoulder as she stumbled backward, blood already staining her shirt. Bar patrons were screaming, chairs were overturning, and people were scrambling for the exits. But in that small space near the restroom, there was nowhere for Britney to run. Britney begged, her hands up defensively, still not understanding why this was happening. She'd never hurt Shanice, never even spoken to her. But the woman with the knife was beyond reason. The third stab pierced Britney's side. The fourth caught her arm as she tried to block the attack. Each strike was deliberate, vicious, designed to cause maximum damage. This wasn't a crime of passion. This was an execution. Britney's cousins were screaming, trying to get to her, but Shanice's accomplice was blocking their path, keeping them back while the massacre continued. The family that had come to celebrate together was being torn apart in real time. The fifth stab hit Britney's back as she tried to turn away. The sixth caught her in the chest and she collapsed to her knees, blood pooling beneath her. But even then, even as her life was draining away, Shanice kept going. 7, 8, 9 times. 9 separate wounds. 9 moments where Shanice Felder chose violence over mercy, chose hatred over humanity. By the time it was over, Britney Richard was lying motionless on the sticky bar floor, surrounded by broken glass and her own blood. The woman who'd walked into that bar, laughing with her family, was now fighting for every breath. The 911 calls started flooding in immediately. There's been a stabbing at Timeout Sports Bar. A woman's been attacked. There's blood everywhere. But even as sirens wailed in the distance, everyone knew they were too late. Shanice Felder didn't run immediately. According to witnesses, she stood over Britney's body for several seconds, the bloody knife still in her hand as if admiring her work. Then, calmly, she walked toward the exit. And here's the part that makes this case even more twisted. Aaron Cole, Britney's soon-to-be ex-husband, was there. He'd watched his wife get butchered by his girlfriend, and according to multiple witnesses, he left with Shanice. The man who'd promised to love and protect Britney walked out of that bar with her killer. Paramedics arrived within minutes, but the damage was catastrophic. 9 stab wounds had punctured vital organs, severed arteries, and caused massive internal bleeding. They worked frantically to stabilize her, pumping blood back into her body, trying to repair what Shanice had destroyed. Britney was rushed to the hospital, clinging to life by the thinnest thread. Her family raced to get there, praying for a miracle, hoping against hope that she'd survive this nightmare. But at 2 a.m., exactly 90 minutes after the attack, Britney Richards' heart stopped beating. Her mother, Shemetria, arrived at the hospital just minutes too late. The daughter she'd raised, the woman who'd brought so much joy into the world, was gone.
I touched her body close to 2 o'clock. She was cold.
Shemetria would later tell reporters, her voice breaking with grief. The woman who'd been planning to sign divorce papers in just 7 hours would never see another sunrise. The mother who'd tucked her children into bed that night would never tuck them in again. The city employee who'd been looking forward to starting fresh was now lying on a morgue table. All because Shanice Felder couldn't stand the thought of Britney being free. The bar was declared a crime scene, yellow tape blocking off the area where a family celebration had turned into a slaughter. Bloodstains on the floor told the story of Britney's final moments. How she'd tried to crawl away, how she'd fought to survive, how she died protecting the family she loved. But Shanice Felder was nowhere to be found. She'd vanished into the Texas night, leaving behind a devastated family, 2 motherless children, and a community struggling to understand how such evil could exist. If you were in that bar, what would you have done? Tell us in the comments and be honest, because what happened next proves that sometimes the people closest to the victim are the ones who help the killer escape. The manhunt was about to begin, but the damage was already done. Britney Richard was dead and her killer was running free. The manhunt for Shanice Felder lasted exactly 4 days. 4 days of a family grieving, a community in shock, and a killer thinking she might actually get away with murder. But Texas law enforcement doesn't play games when it comes to cold-blooded killers. On Tuesday, September 3rd, Houston police tracked Shanice down like the animal she'd become. She wasn't hiding in some remote location or trying to flee the state. She was just living her life, as if she hadn't just butchered an innocent mother in front of dozens of witnesses. The arrest was swift and brutal. No dramatic chase, no shootout, just handcuffs and a one-way ticket to the Galveston County Jail. When they booked her, Shanice showed zero remorse, no tears, no apologies, no explanation for why she'd destroyed an entire family. The charges hit like a sledgehammer. Murder in the first degree, aggravated assault with a deadly weapon for attacking Britney's cousin. Combined bond set at $450,000, a number that felt both massive and completely inadequate for what she'd done. But here's what's eating at Britney's family, the questions that will probably never get answered. Shemetria Richard, Britney's mother, keeps asking the same thing over and over. Why? And why that night? It's the question that haunts every family member, every friend, every person who knew Britney. What drove Shanice to such extreme violence against someone she'd never even fought with? The timing makes it even more twisted. Britney was supposed to sign those divorce papers the next morning. In less than 9 hours, she would have been officially free from Aaron Cole, free to start over, free to build a new life with her children, free from all the drama that had consumed the past year. Did Shanice know about the divorce papers? Was this her sick way of making sure Britney never got her freedom? Or was it something even darker? A woman so consumed with jealousy and hatred that she couldn't stand the thought of Britney existing at all. The family's pain goes beyond just losing Britney. It's the betrayal that cuts deepest. Aaron Cole, the man who'd fathered Britney's children, who'd promised to love and protect her, allegedly walked out of that bar with her killer. He watched his wife get stabbed 9 times and left with the woman holding the bloody knife. What kind of man does that? What kind of father abandons his children's mother to die on a barroom floor? Britney's 13-year-old and 9-year-old are now living with the unthinkable reality that their mother is never coming home. They'll never get another hug, another bedtime story, another "I love you" text. Their world has been shattered by a woman they'd never met, for reasons they'll never understand. The community response has been overwhelming. A GoFundMe page set up to help with funeral expenses and support the children has raised thousands of dollars. Co-workers at the city of Lamarck are planning a memorial. Friends are organizing meal trains and childcare support. But all the community support in the world can't bring back the woman who lit up every room she entered. The funeral was scheduled for September 14, 2024, a celebration of life for someone whose life was cut brutally short. Family and friends gathered to remember Britney's laugh, her kindness, her fierce protection of the people she loved. But underneath all the beautiful memories was the ugly truth. She died because someone else's hatred was stronger than her love. Legal experts say the case against Shanice is airtight. Security footage, multiple witnesses, physical evidence. It's a prosecutor's dream. She'll likely spend the rest of her life in prison if she's lucky enough to avoid the death penalty. But even if justice is served, even if Shanice rots in a cell for the next 50 years, it won't bring Britney back. It won't heal her children's trauma. It won't answer the question that keeps everyone awake at night. How does a stranger's jealousy turn into such devastating violence? What's your theory? Was this planned or pure rage? Drop your thoughts below. This case has more questions than answers, and we want to know what you think really happened that night. The trial is still months away, but one thing is certain. Britney Richard deserves so much better than the hand she was dealt. Here's the thing that keeps me up at night about Britney Richard's case. It could happen to anyone. Think about it. Britney wasn't involved in drugs, gangs, or dangerous relationships. She wasn't living a high-risk lifestyle or making enemies. She was literally just trying to get divorced and move on with her life. She was celebrating her cousin's birthday at a regular sports bar in her hometown, and she died because someone else couldn't handle her freedom. The statistics are terrifying. The most dangerous time for a woman in an abusive relationship isn't when she's being hurt. It's when she's trying to leave. But Britney's case is even more twisted because the violence didn't come from her ex-husband. It came from his new girlfriend, a woman who had everything to gain from Britney's divorce. Shanice Felder had won. She had Aaron. She had destroyed Britney's marriage. The divorce papers were ready to be signed. So why wasn't that enough? Maybe it's because some people don't just want to win. They want to completely destroy their competition. Maybe Shanice couldn't stand the thought of Britney being happy, being free, being able to start over. Maybe she needed Britney to suffer permanently, or maybe she was just evil. Sometimes that's the only explanation that makes sense. Britney's children are growing up without their mother because a stranger decided their mom didn't deserve to exist. Her family is planning holidays without her laugh, birthdays without her presence, milestones without her pride and joy. The funeral on September 14th wasn't just a goodbye, it was a warning. A reminder that jealousy and hatred can turn deadly in ways we never expect. That the person who destroys your life might not be the one you're fighting with. It might be someone you've never even met. Britney Richard was supposed to sign divorce papers that morning. Instead, her family signed funeral arrangements. She was supposed to start a new chapter. Instead, her story ended in blood on a barroom floor. Sometimes the most dangerous person isn't the ex who hurt you, it's the person they're trying to replace you with. Rest in peace, Britney. Your children will know how much you loved them. Your family will never forget your sacrifice, and your story will serve as a warning to others. Freedom isn't always free, and sometimes the price is paid by the innocent. But here's what I need from you right now. Drop a comment and tell me, do you think Shanice planned this attack? Or was it pure jealous rage that exploded that night? Because the more I dig into this case, the more questions I have. And if you know someone going through a messy divorce or dealing with their ex's new partner, share this video with them, not to scare them, but to remind them that their safety matters more than anyone's feelings. Hit that subscribe button if you want more cases that'll keep you questioning everything. Smash the like if this story hit you as hard as it hit me, and ring that notification bell because the next case is even more twisted. Until then, stay safe out there, because sometimes the most dangerous person is the one you never saw coming.